Jack it up.
Hurts keeps, Hurts cuts, Hurts has the first down, and Jalen Hurts might have just put it away for the Eagles. Touchdown!
Tyrese Maxey and the Sixers are going to win this game! Joel, tough turnaround in the lane. Another 30-10 performance for Joel Embiid.
Hurts connects with Devontae Smith.
Hello and welcome back to the 215 Scoop podcast. We're back after the holidays. Hope all of you guys enjoyed Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, Kwanzaa, what have you. Hope you guys had a safe and healthy holiday. We got the new year coming up, final episode of the year. Asher, how you doing? How are your Christmas?
Good. Christmas was great. My family also just went on like a little 2-day vacation to the Poconos, so I'm very relaxed and like very in the holiday vacation spirit.
Yep. Me, otherwise, we had family. I had family come up from North Carolina. They came up on Tuesday. Had a lot of festivities this past weekend. Obviously Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day. It's pretty much nonstop to this point. Because after my family left, I had yard work to do and all this stuff, just like getting just shit done. You know? So it's been a busy week. So I'm kind of in the opposite. I'm pretty gassed right now, if I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie to you. So it's a late night session. It's about 10 o'clock here. I'm sure you guys will see this episode tomorrow on Saturday, New Year's Eve. But yeah, anyway, lots to talk about. Obviously, this past weekend was the much anticipated second game of the second rendition of the Eagles Cowboys this year. Fortunately, the Eagles suffered their second loss of the season in that game, 40-34. Overall, Asher, what were your takeaways from this game? Me personally, I was driving anywhere. I had to go to my girlfriend's, so I was listening on the radio, so I didn't really get to watch.
Okay.
I listened to the last few minutes, and I was punching my steering wheel, if I'm being honest with you.
I watched the whole game. I know last week we were very like, it's whatever if we lose this game going into it. But like I finished that game feeling much angrier than I thought I would. That kind of hurt, and I wasn't expecting it to hurt. I kind of knew we were going to lose, but like the fact that we kept it close, I feel like made it hurt worse when we did lose.
Well, the fact is when Gardner Minshew, that last drive, drove down to the 20-yard line, like he gave us like hope.
Yeah.
Like we could bring this game to overtime or even win it. So I definitely agree with you. The fact that it was so close kind of makes this hard to take. We were kind of all expecting it to probably, obviously it wasn't going to be this close or this high scoring of an affair.
Yeah.
But I think how close it was and how competitive it was definitely made it hurtful, especially since all of social media afterwards was like going off and was like, oh my gosh, what a game. This might be the best Christmas Eve game we've ever witnessed, blah, 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 and like hyping up the Cowboys. And having to watch that pissed me off. But overall, do you think most Eagles fans kind of feel the way we do, except what I've seen is like much worse? On my Facebook group pages, I follow Eagles pages. Everybody was like outraged by this loss. Now, do you think that's an overreaction, or what do you think about that? Because personally, I think it's a little bit of an overreaction given the circumstances with the injuries. Devontae Maddox went down, Lane Johnson went down. Both are significant injuries to this team, as well as Jordan Davis. He went down with a concussion as well. So we had a few injuries. We had 4 turnovers, right? And despite all of those, it still came down on the last minute. So as angry as I am about the loss, it's the Cowboys. I hate losing to the Cowboys. I really don't think we should be that pissed off, if I'm being honest with you.
No, I completely agree. I think after I had, I kind of slept on it and I had a little time to recover, I came away with the feeling that like this is a very good team. Like the Cowboys may very well be the second best team in the NFC, and we kept pace with them without our MVP candidate quarterback. So like I think that just speaks volumes about how deep this team is, about how talented it is on both sides of the ball at pretty much every position. So I think I came away more excited than angry at this point.
Yeah, and this also completely changes things for next week because now we kind of got an idea of where Gardner Minshew is at as a quarterback, even having not played in about a year now. I think the last time he played before last Saturday was the Jets game last year. So not sure what we were going to expect from him, but obviously put on a show. He put up 27 points on the one of the league's best defenses, supposedly. Um, I was impressed by him, honestly. I was very impressed with what he did, the way he was able to move down the field. Obviously, he had a lot to work with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith put on a freaking show that game, by the way.
Yeah, great plays. The
Yeah.
toe tap catch, the catch on the last drive was pretty incredible.
Insane. Absolute insanity. But overall, I'm not that concerned now that, like you said, now that I've slept on it, I'm not really concerned about this Eagles team going into next week, having to clinch his first seed. If God forbid Jalen doesn't play again, we'll talk about that later. But right now, Asher, I want to talk about the injuries though. So obviously we have Jalen Hurts recovering from a shoulder sprain. He is currently listed as doubtful for the game this weekend against the Saints. Lane Johnson was officially ruled out until the playoffs. He has an abdominal tear. I read that he has to get surgery, but he's pushing that off until after the season so he can play in the playoffs. And then we have Avonte Maddox out. I've been so caught up in the Lane Johnson and Jalen Hurts news that I don't even really know what his status is. Do you happen to know the status of Avonte Maddox right now?
I don't. I mean, I think all the Eagles fans, including myself, are with you where we're kind of monitoring Jalen Hurts and Lane Johnson much closer. No disrespect to Maddox, but I mean, those guys are just Pro Bowlers, MVP candidates that kind of them going down matters more to the team.
Right, exactly. I mean, arguably Lane Johnson, all-pro player.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy that hasn't given up a sack since 2020. So obviously that's a huge loss.
Yeah.
And then lastly on that list is Jordan Davis. Has another injury, goes down again with a concussion. That I'm not too concerned about. It's just like a week, so it's not like we're losing him for an extended period of time. But overall, looking at all these injuries, let me look up the IR right now. Injury report. I think there's a very, very lengthy list last time I checked.
Yeah.
The question is, looking at Lane Johnson, looking at Avonte Maddox, I think Avonte Maddox is out for the year. I don't really know. People were looking at Cravon LeBlanc as a possible.
Yep. I heard that as well.
But anyway, big question is, from a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about these injuries?
I mean, concerned, I think the fact that Hurts and Johnson are probably good for round one of the playoffs. Should we lose that the next two games, God forbid, and have to play in the wild card round, Hurts and Lane should be good for that. And we're at the point in the season, it's week 17. Every team's banged up. I think we've been more lucky than most teams. The Niners are on their third string quarterback at this point. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys are pretty banged up as well. They were without Dak for a good portion of the season. Every team experiences these injuries. Mm-hmm. I think we're lucky that for the big ones, for Hurts and Lane, that they're only going to be out 2-3 weeks.
Right. Yeah. So from 1 to 10, where are you sitting right now, Ash?
3. I'll give it a 3.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with you. I might be at a 4. The only reason why I say a 4 is because since Lane Johnson is dealing with abdominal stuff and he has to get surgery, the question is like what percent is it going to be at? Like, obviously we're not going to get 100% Lane Johnson.
True.
So like, are we going to get like 80%? Are we getting towards 50%? Like what is Lane Johnson going to look like in the playoffs? And obviously he'll be hopefully coming off a 3 weeks rest. So I'm not that concerned about it, but at the same time, this is one of the best tackles in the league. So, that's just me. But yeah, I'm at a 4.
Okay.
But yeah, so this week, I think yesterday, Jalen Hurts played. He practiced. He's currently listed as doubtful for the game on Sunday. Now, God forbid if he practiced. I mean, I didn't read anything about today. But if he looks good, and they decide to play him, do you think that would be a smart decision, given that Lane Johnson is going to be playing?
I mean, I think I think we know Jalen Hurts well enough to this point and the character that he is. If he's medically cleared, I think he plays because I think he's going to say, I'm playing. And he's such a leader and he holds so much say in that locker room and with the coaches that, if he says I'm playing, he's playing. No one's going to say, no, you're probably sitting this game. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. See, the thing is with me is like you absolutely make a great point there, but at the same time, I mean, he's just coming off of a sprained shoulder. While it's not that major of an injury, I don't know what the risk is for re-injury.
Mhm.
You probably know better than I do. Um, but I'm just concerned about another injury. I'd rather have a healthy Jalen Hurts for a playoff run than have him to come back and get hurt in order, like, just to get the first round bye, which I think is perfectly doable with Gardner Minshew under center.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I think in my mind, it's say like Minshew's playing, we have about like a 75% chance to win. That's not backed in statistics at all. That's just like theoretically, we have 75% chance to win.
Right.
Nothing's guaranteed in the NFL. I feel like if we play Jalen, we have pretty darn close to like a 99, 98% chance to win.
Right.
I'd rather just have him play. Don't play the way you were playing against Tennessee or New York, where it's very run heavy. Or I'm sorry, just New York, where he got injured. The run heavy, QB draws, QB sweeps. Don't put him in danger. Just run the offense that we saw against Tennessee, where it's very pass heavy. Hopefully, we'd still have Andre Dillard behind Lane, by the way, who's not a bad offensive tackle at all.
Right.
Probably above replacement level. Could probably start on some other teams. So, I mean, I feel like I'd rather just lock it up this week, have Jalen sit versus the Giants, and then he'll get to sit the first round of the playoffs. That's where I see it.
I mean, that's smart. I just I guess I'm getting a little bit of PTSD here with the Carson Wentz situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, he just tore his ACL and it was just cut clean. But at the same time, this is their MVP caliber quarterback, and I don't want to risk not having him for the playoffs because I'm sure we all know Gardner Minshew is no Nick Foles. I mean, don't get me wrong. Gardner should be a starter in this league. I think he's a starter on the Raiders next year, something like that. We'll go into that later. But I don't know. I just don't feel like I don't have enough trust in Gardner to make a run, and I just don't want to risk losing Jalen. That's all. That's all that's going on in my head. But anyway, moving on. League-wide this past weekend, I want to talk about Christmas Day briefly. I was watching the games on Christmas Day. I had family over, and I was just trying to relax, watch some football. But man, that lineup of games, those games were awful. I was very, very disappointed. I was watching every single game, and I was like dozing in and out of sleep, and I was just like, "This is the boring shit I've ever watched." And I was just so disappointed. I don't know about you. Did you happen to catch any of those games?
No. The NFL caught a pretty tough break. I mean, I think fact check me on this, but I think this was the first game that they actually, or the first year they actually had games on Christmas Day, not just Christmas Eve. Usually that's the NBA's domain. So to put before the season to schedule Rams Broncos, which should be like a banger game, like two teams that are competing for division titles at that point, and then they both end up sucking and nobody wants to watch that game. That's just a bad break for the NFL. I did not turn on a single game. I just kept all the NBA games on throughout the day. So big win for the NBA over the NFL in that aspect.
Well, specifically, big win for the Philadelphia 76ers. What a hell of a game that was. That was probably their best game of the season. But anyway, I was kind of flipping in between. I was watching the Sixers, and then the 1 o'clock game came on, and then I changed to that, and then I was flipping back and forth and all that jazz. But yeah, I was just very bored and just very disappointed. Now, this isn't obviously, like you said, I mean, the NFL doesn't know what teams are going to be good or bad. They just kind of schedule games according to who they think is going to be good.
Right.
Just so happened that this year all the teams kind of sucked. The best game, I think, Packers and Dolphins. It was awesome to see Aaron Rodgers win. I mean, I don't like the Packers, but to see them kind of rejuvenate their playoff hopes was kind of really cool to see. in my opinion. But anyway, and speaking of the Dolphins-Packers game, Tua Tagovailoa suffered his third concussion of the season. Now, we all know what happened earlier. He got carted off the field, that really scary incident, and that was after he was rushed back from another concussion. So suffering his third concussion, I mean, obviously that's a huge risk. I mean, that's his third concussion in what, 3 months? Is it 2 or 3 months? I don't know.
Somewhere in that range, 2.5.
Now, I don't think it should be in question. He should sit for the rest of the season.
Yes.
But the real question is, and now I'm seeing this everywhere, does he consider retiring at this point? He's so young and he has so much potential, but like 3 concussions in like 2 months is crazy.
Yeah. And CTE, I mean, that's the stories of all the players from previous generations and kind of the effect that the CTE has had on them is coming more to light as of late. So, I mean, we've seen Luke Kuechly retire early. We've seen Andrew Luck retire early, not just because of concussions, but it's kind of becoming more commonplace for really good players to retire young because of injury concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. So my question is like, do you think he should retire? Like, do you think that should be in the question, like, for sure?
It should definitely be something he should consider. I mean, he's already made – I know he's still on his rookie contract, but he's already made a good amount of money. You know, you kind of put that away smartly, and that he might not have to work again for the rest of his life.
Right. Yeah.
You know, is it worth it to stay in the NFL for a few more years and possibly get, that big concussion that, just kind of makes it so you have to retire?
Yeah, I mean, let's put this into perspective. How many concussions did Luke Kuechly suffer? Do you remember off the top of your head?
I don't. And I mean, he retired at like 30. He didn't even really retire that young. But I think his was more kind of like, I've done everything I want to do. I'm going to retire before I have an injury at like 34.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. This Tua situation just kind of makes me sick to my stomach, and the Dolphins should be ashamed of themselves. This past concussion, I wouldn't put the blame on them, but that second concussion, dude, where he got carted off, I think the Titans should absolutely, like, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if I were Tua, I'd file a lawsuit for that shit. I would sue the Titans. Not the Titans.
Dolphins.
I would sue the Dolphins, and I would just try and get as much money as I can, and then leave. Just fucking leave. That's what I would do. I'm just scared for this kid. We all saw what happened to Antonio Brown after that Vontae's perfect hit.
Yes.
And the Tua hit was arguably scarier than that. So, like, it's just, I don't know. It just makes me sick to my stomach. But we'll see how that plays out. But let's look at the brighter side of things. We got Week 17 coming up. Lots and lots and lots of exciting things happening. Lots of playoff clinching scenarios. I'm going to go through them real quick, trying to keep it as minimalistic as possible. So just to tell you who already clinched. Bills already clinched the East. Chiefs already clinched the West. The Bengals, Ravens, and Chargers have all clinched the playoffs. Now, first off, the Buffalo Bills can clinch home field advantage and a first-round bye with a win and a Chiefs loss. Bengals, they can clinch the North with a win and a Baltimore loss. The Dolphins can clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Jets loss. And that's all for the AFC at this moment. The NFC, go over who clinched. The Eagles clinched the playoff berth. The Vikings clinched the North. The Niners clinched the West. And the Cowboys have also clinched the playoffs. Now, as we all know, the Eagles clinched the division with a win. And it was Oro Dallas lost, but we all witnessed last night or 2 nights ago on Thursday night. Dallas did eventually win. So the Eagles clinched the East with a win, as well as the number 1 seed. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Eagles. Tampa Bay Bucks, they clinched the South with a win. And they play Carolina. Huge matchup. We're going to go into that in a little bit. The Giants, they clinch a playoff berth. They clinched the playoffs with a win.
Okay.
Or a Seahawks loss and a Commanders loss, or a Seahawks loss, a Lions loss, and a Packers loss, or a Commanders loss, a Lions loss, and a Packers loss.
Okay.
Mouthful. Commanders, pretty straight up. They clinch a playoff berth with a win, Seahawks loss, Lions loss, and a Packers loss. And that about wraps it up. So there's a lot there to unpack. But we have 4 games of the week as per usual. Asher, do you want to start off?
Yeah, and real quick, I left my notes from last week's episode at Temple. I'm back home now. Recorded last week at Temple. I'm fairly certain I went 4-0 last week.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I don't really remember. I didn't think we really keeping track of it. I'm being honest with you.
No, not officially, but I just, as bad as I did during the earlier part of the season.
You want redemption?
I'm turning it around so far. So
yeah, I don't know what I had. Anyway, games to watch for this week. Lots and lots of very high stakes games that have lots of playoff impact. First on our list is we just talked about this. The Panthers and the Buccaneers face off for basically the NFC South. Bucks clinch it with a win. The Panthers still stand a chance with a win as well. Currently, the Bucks are favored by 4 at home. Now, Asher, looking at this game, what are you thinking? What are you thinking in this game?
This one's hard to pick. The Panthers just had a pretty convincing win versus the Lions last week. The rushing offense looked, pretty unstoppable. Granted, it is the Lions defense, but still, Tampa Bay, we say it every week. They just seem to go into a big hole in the first, second, and third quarters and then somehow squeak out like a 20-17 win because of Tom Brady every week. I'm still not convinced. I still don't think they've found their potential. I think the talent on that team means they can be so much more than they have been.
Right.
I still think there's a chance for them to find that footing before the playoffs, but time's running out. I'm going to pick the plucky Panthers team to cover. I just feel like they're on the right trajectory right now, and the Tampa Bay is not. So Tampa Bay's 4-point favorites?
My friend, yeah, they are 4-point favorites.
So
now, I do like your pick. I heard it, and I was like, I think you made a mistake, but I forgot the spread was 4. So I think the Panthers could definitely cover, but I do see the Bucks eventually winning this game. Same fashion as they have all season, but late season with division on the line, playoffs on the line, I don't think I would bet against Tom Brady in that situation. The same reason why I'm riding with the Packers to go to the playoffs as well. I like them to take the 7th seed. Just going a brief tangent. I like Rodgers over the Wentz-led Commanders. The Seahawks, who are kind of stumbling right now, and then the Detroit Lions, who are the Detroit Lions. So I'll take my money on Aaron Rodgers to clinch that 7th seed, by the way. Just putting that out there.
Interesting. Yeah.
Next game, Dolphins versus Patriots. The 2 teams are in the running for the 7th seed in the AFC. Patriots are favored by 2.5 points at home. Mind you, Tua, like we just talked about, suffered his 3rd concussion, so he will not be playing in this game. I don't see this game being that close. Could we see a miracle again from the Dolphins?
It's possible. They still have Tyreek Hill. They still have Jalen Waddle. It doesn't take a great quarterback to make that work. Kind of run some slants, some short routes. The defense is still all right. I just think, kind of in the same vein as you're taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I don't really want to bet against Bill Belichick. And that defense is a very solid defense this year.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they're kind of finding the right trajectory with the offense. Mac Jones, Ramondre Stevenson, they have some pieces there. So I'm also taking the Patriots to cover.
Yeah, I would take the Patriots as well. I could be making a grave mistake here. You've been riding Patriots all year long, and that has never turned out well for you. So
Not really.
Saying that it actually works out for you this time, but clown. Oh, you look so sad. You look
Yeah,
so
I mean, that was the one team I was like, I want the Patriots to do well this year because that was the one team I was riding. I wanted to be proven right. And just the manner in which they've lost this year, like a lot of close games that they've just kind of thrown away,
right.
all kind of culminating in that Raiders game.
Bro, dude, the look in your face when
Yeah.
you were so sad.
Again, I want to shout out Mike Tarapchak. I'm only an honorary Patriots fan, and the way the Patriots have been playing hurts me. I can't imagine how it feels to be an actual Patriots fan.
Yeah, hopefully they clutch it out and get that.
Yeah. There's still a chance, but just
Still a chance.
lot
They
of
got to
hurt
win first this weekend. They're at home, so
yeah.
But I'll ride Patriots.
All right.
You're welcome, Mike. By the way, if you're listening. Next game, we got the Jets versus the Seahawks. Once again, two teams fighting for wild card spots. Both teams fighting for that last spot in the playoffs. The Jets are favored by 2 on the road, which is very interesting, but at the same time not. The Seahawks obviously have been kind of stumbling down this slope. They started out 7-3, and now they're sitting at 7-8 or something like that. Yeah. So, and then the Jets, they made the grave mistake of starting Zach Wilson, and they kind of stumbled, but thank God they're starting Mike White. So Mike White season, I'm riding Jets.
Okay. I kind of feel this. We talked about Mike White the last time he started.
Mhm.
I think we also were picking that for that Jets game.
Mhm.
I just think he's very inconsistent. I think that this is more likely to be one of those games where he throws like 3 picks instead of a 300-yard, 3-touchdown game.
Mhm.
I think it's kind of weird that the Seahawks are underdogs at home, so I'm going to take them to cover.
Yeah, but Vegas knows. I'm telling you, Vegas knows. There's a reason why the Jets are favored, so I'm gonna ride Jets. I like the Jets. Totally not biased because my girlfriend's family are Jets fans, but
Interesting.
okay. We're not gonna talk about that. But no, honestly, I'm just gonna ride Mike White. You know, why the hell not? Jets fans deserve it after all the pain and misery that Zach Wilson has put them through. So I'd love to see the Jets clutch this out and kind of still keep themselves in the race for that wild card spot. Now, lastly, arguably the game of the week overall, Monday night, Bills, Bengals, huge matchup. This has so many implications. The Bengals win this, they have a chance at the 1 seed. They have a chance at the first round bye. Obviously, the Bills are sitting on top of the AFC playoff picture right now. Winning this game would kind of solidify themselves up there. But lots on the line. Bills are favored by 1 on the road, which is very interesting to me. What are your thoughts on this game, Ash?
Yeah, unquestionably the game of the week. 2 teams that obviously the Kansas City Chiefs still exist, but 2 teams that are really fighting for supremacy of the AFC. Mm-hmm. So you said it before. Bills win, they clinch that 1 seed. The Bengals win, they clinch their division, and then they also put themselves. I think right now where it stands, they're at like 10% chance for the 1 seed. They win, I think it skyrockets to like 30-40%. So
yeah, something like that. But overall, I'm going to take the Bengals here. I like Joe Burrow. Josh Allen has been very turnover prone as of lately. I'm a big believer in playoff Josh Allen, but at the end of the season, I want to take Joe Burrow to clutch this out. I like him beating the Bills here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is another game where I'm kind of picking based on momentum. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good way to pick towards the end of the season. Mm-hmm. And the Bengals have really been coming into themselves in a similar fashion as we saw last season. I think a lot of people would have said that they were pretenders as opposed to contenders in the middle of the season. And now they're really solidifying themselves in that top tier of the NFL and the top tier of the AFC, along with the Bills and the Chiefs.
Right. I hear a lot of people, they're picking Bengals to go all the way once again, which is crazy to me. But yeah, very, very interesting games this week. I cannot wait. But yeah, so that should wrap it up for this episode. Asher, do you have any last thoughts?
No, I guess honorable mention game, one that we weren't able to get to just because we can only talk about so many. The
Right.
Packers do play the Vikings this week, so it's Aaron Rodgers trying to keep his playoff hopes alive versus a team that he has historically dominated. So
Right.
definitely another one to watch out for this weekend.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm riding Packers on that one.
I figured.
Vikings are fluky. I'm telling you, 13 of their games have only been won by one score. They're the luckiest team in the league. I swear God is watching over them this year. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers late December in Lambeau. Right, I'm telling you, if you're a sports bettor, slam Packers money line. I'm telling you, I'm calling it right now. They might be favored. I'm not sure what the odds are, but I'm telling you, slam Packers money line. Aaron Rodgers, baby, let's ride. But anyway,
all right,
that's a hell of a way to close out the year. Hope you guys all have a happy new year. Enjoy your festivities this weekend. Stay safe. Don't drink and drive. You know the deal. But yeah, thank you for listening and enjoy. Go Birds.
go Birds.